Natalie.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Lovely.
Is that actually from somewhere near where you live?
Sorry?
Your background, is that a picture of somewhere near where you?
Yes. This is in front of my apartment.
Oh, wow. So you're right. You're right on the water, so you don't have far to go for Pascha.
I never go there, but I like watching it, just observing.
Yeah, but saying Rosh Hashanah there's a prayer you say by the water, so you don't have to go far.
Ah, nice.
Right. This year we're going to do it the second day because the first day is Shabbat. Okay. Good. Okay, we are now ready to go. Here's Brachot. New share. Okay. So we're right at the top of the page. Tanya ben Azai Omer. Tanya ben Azai taught us, I'll call Mishkav Shekav, lie anywhere, chutz min karka, except from the ground. And it doesn't mean the floor. It means in those days, houses had earthen floors. Indeed, in the villages in Eastern Europe, houses had earthen floors.
I was born in one.
Yeah, you know what? What did they bring Erev Shabbos? Fresh what? Remember?
No,
They used to bring sand, fresh white sand.
fresh blotter. I don't think they had that.
Yeah, they used to bring sand or straw and put it on the floor. Why? Because a floor is damp, and that's why Renazai says you shouldn't lie directly on the ground because the damp isn't good for your bones. I'll call Moshav Shav, sit anywhere, except for a beam. Why should you not sit on a beam? Because it's easy to fall off a beam. The beam is narrow. So like the picture of the workers building the Empire State Building, they're sitting on a girder and someone is bringing them, champagne, a fancy lunch, a famous picture from the 1930s. But generally speaking, unless you're a steel worker, you should not be sitting on a beam.
Do you know how many people died building this building?
I don't know, but I do know that many of the steel workers who did that work were Iroquois Indian from the reservation in upstate New York, because I'll tell you why, because the Iroquois Indians are trained from childhood when they walk, because that's the way they used to walk in the woods. They walk 1 foot in front of the other. They're trained to walk 1 foot of the other because they live in a very heavily forested area originally, and they walk very quietly through the forest without disturbing anything.
Yeah.
And so they put 1 foot in front of the other. So if you have to walk on a narrow beam, that ability is very important.
I think that was in Life magazine.
How anybody could walk on a beam.
Yeah. Anyways, but so don't sit on a beam, because if you're not
Your balance.
if you're not an Iroquois, you may fall off. So
No,
don't
but
sit
you
on a
have
beam.
You're not afraid of looking down would.
Right. So Rashi says that the concern is that you might fall. Yeah, I just make the point that people get used to this sort of thing. In the days of sailing ships, they were always running up and down the masts, to move the sails to see what's going on. So these masts, I mean, the Constitution is a small ship and there's masts more than 100 feet high. Some of the big ships from the times of Napoleon, those wars had masts 150, 200 feet tall. And the ship would be rolling like this, and they would run up and down, like it was nothing. So you get used to the heights. Okay. But at any rate, if you're an ordinary person, if you're not a sailor or a steel worker, do not sit on a beam, you may fall off.
Don't do it.
Omar Shmuel says, Shina ba'omad hashachar, a sleeping at the first light of dawn is ki istama de parzela, is like a forge for iron. In other words, ki istama means like forging, which means you heat the iron up and then you submerge it in cold water. There's a word for it.
That's
Annealing.
kosher.
What?
That's used in kosher.
Right, yeah, but the point is that
Superheating the water.
right, no, that's something else. Here I'm talking about the iron itself. You make the iron glow red hot, and then you immerse it in cold water.
Well, that's what whatchamacallit do all the time.
The blacksmiths.
Yeah.
So that toughens the iron. So it says sleeping at a mudashachar. In other words, even if you stay up at night, to sleep right before dawn. That's the best. The hours before dawn are the best time to sleep. And also, Yitzia b'amud hashachar k'istam l'parzela, going to the bathroom in the morning is beneficial as forging to iron. As a person has regular bowel movements and goes first thing in the morning, this is good for one's health throughout the day.
To get
And
up in the
again,
morning?
And again, to get up and to sleep, to be sleeping at the end of the night, and also to go to the bathroom in the morning is good for you. And again, as Maimonides writes, and I think we understand this nowadays, that the proper functioning of the digestive system is the source of health, and the improper function of the digestive system is this cause of many illnesses. And it turns out that now there's an enormous amount of research. Literally, I get the science publications, and every week there's literally another research project paper about this, that we have very complicated in our gut. We have very complicated bacterial colonies. As a matter of fact, 80% of the DNA in a person is from the bacteria in them. And those people who have healthy bacteria, a good mixture of the right bacteria, live longer, are less likely to be overweight, suffer a lot less from diseases.
Those
The-
that
have a good gut flora, those who have the right bacteria, not the wrong bacteria inside them.
It's
And
the
one of the things,
microbiome, no?
what?
Microbiome.
The microbiome, yes. And one of the things that feeds the bad bacteria, and like Greg's been doing research into this, but there's a lot of papers, are things like refined sugar, sucrose, fructose, and there's refined sugar, refined flour, all the refined foods that we eat, like what's in that syrup, they feed the bad bacteria. And if you eat a lot of fiber and natural fruits and vegetables in their original state, that feeds the good ones. Anyways, but the point being that if one's gut bacteria are good, then one's regularity is also good, and that is a good sign for health. That's why it says that
And-
quenching. Oh, that's the word, quenching. Istema is quenching when you heat up iron, and then so sleeping the last part of the night, being asleep the last part of the night, and having and going to the bathroom regularly in the morning is good for your health, the way that forging strengthens iron. And again, as I pointed out, and I wrote a little piece about this for the internet, I posted in various places, the issue isn't whether what the Gemara has to say is precisely correct according to modern medical doctrine. The point that the Gemara puts it in there demonstrates, because this is Torah, demonstrates how important a part of Torah it is to take care of one's health and welfare. The reason we put these things in is because the rabbis of the Talmud understood that an important part of Yiddishkeit is taking care of your health.
But Rabbi, how can we associate forging iron and health?
Oh, because basically iron, before the invention of steel, it's a good question. Iron, before the invention of steel, it was either if it's sharp, it's very brittle, cast iron, or wrought iron is soft, but doesn't hold an edge and bends easily. But one of the ways that they used to strengthen iron before, the Bessemer process and so on, was that you heated it up not till it was melted, but till it was plastic, till it was soft, and then you would beat it, and then you would quench it in water, and that would create like that would basically you would actually, I correct myself, you would heat it up till it was plastic, till it was soft but not melted. Then they would take charcoal and they would beat the charcoal into it. Then when you quench it, that causes a network of carbon to form on top of it inside the iron, making a primitive form of steel, and it's much stronger. So too, a person who sleeps right before dawn and has regularly goes to the bathroom, that strengthens the body the same way that the forging and quenching strengthens the iron. The idea is that the iron becomes much stronger through this process, and so to sleep and proper digestive system makes the body stronger. Now,
And maybe also it associate also it's also about this process of forging, because if you also sleep not too late at night before, for instance, nowadays we say that before 10 p.m. is good, nah? So which means the whole complex process of digestion and everything, just like forging iron,
right, yeah,
there's a whole process, no?
right,
With
because health has many components. Yeah, I think
many
that's a good interpretation out of it. Now, Bar Kapara have a Mazban Mili Bedinari. Bar Kapara, one of the sages of the Jerusalem Talmud of Israel, he used to sell his words for a dinar. A dinar is a small silver coin. What it means to say is not that he would sell his words, but he would count his words the way one counts money. In other words, he would speak very, very briefly with very strong content. He would say a lot in a little. In other words, he would be careful with his words. So his maxims, he says, ad the confit echol. When you're hungry, eat. Because when you're hungry, your body is ready for food. If you wait too long and you're no longer hungry, that's not a good time to eat because your body isn't ready for food. Ad the tzaches, when you're thirsty, drink. Ad the rischa kidrach shvok. When your pot is boiling, pour it off before it cools off, which means to say, when you feel a need to go to the bathroom, you should go to the bathroom. Don't wait till you don't need to, because then already you're going to have problems. Karna Kirya Baromi, when the horn is sounded in Rome, Bar Mazbin to Aini, sell your son of a fig filler, sell your figs. In Rome, Rome, of course, did not produce enough food for itself. So they brought from all over the world. And dried figs were a particularly beloved commodity in Rome. So when they used to blow the horn to open the market, go sell your figs, sell your father's figs, because food in Rome, because Rome, again, was a big metropolis without a lot of food growing around it, food was expensive in Rome. And therefore, if you have a chance to sell your figs, sell them in Rome, sell your figs, and even sell your father's figs. Means to say that when there's a good market, go ahead and sell. What does it say? Sell your father's figs. So Rashi explains, even if your father isn't at home, so normally you don't sell someone without a person's permission. But here, since the profit is so much greater, there's no doubt that your father will be happy if you sell his figs. And the general rule is that anything that you know someone would like you to do business-wise, we have a relationship with them, you don't have to ask if you know that on the whole they would be happy with it. Omer Luhu Abayla Rabbanan, continue with the question of going to the bathroom. When you enter the paths of the city of Mechuzah, to go out in the field, because again, they used to go to the bathroom in the fields. There were not too many outhouses. Don't look to the right or the left. Maybe there are women who also had to relieve themselves. It's not proper to look at women when they're headed out to the bathroom, and it'll embarrass them. Rab Safra Rab Safra once entered a actual bath lavatory. Also Rabbi Abba came and Narle Ababa, and he coughed there to see if anyone was in there. Omale Leomar, he says, let him come. Also, when he said Hashla out to Lisayer, Gamataloch Mili the Sayer, he says, until now you never answer the Edomites, you learned the custom of Sayer. In other words, you shouldn't ask, you should see if the door is closed. We learned that about the base of Tinas. This was a room in the courtyard, attached to the courtyard of the Beit HaMikdash, where the Kohanim used to sleep. Medura Yisasham, there was a fire there, so in the cold winter days in Yerushalayim, they could warm themselves up, the Kohanim, because the Beit HaMikdash was all marble. It got very cold. Ubeisakise shall covered, and there was a bathroom of honor. What does it mean of honor? If you see the door closed, you know there's someone there. It's open, you know no one there. So we see it's not appropriate to ask if someone's there. You just look at the door. So v'hosavar mesukanu, but the Gemara explains that Rab Safra told Rab Abba could come in because he thought it was dangerous. The Tanya Meshugalomer Amad Achozer, maybe it's something had rokum, that if you hold back the one's feces, it brings a person to dropsy, and Silon Achozer, if you hold back a urine, it brings a person to jaundice. So it's not a good thing. Rabbi Elazar went to the bathroom. This is in Israel at the time after the Bar revolt, when the Romans were particularly obnoxious. A Roman came and pushed him away. He went into the bathroom. Roman came, pushed him out because he wanted to use the bathroom. Rabbi Elazar came and left. Also, a serpent came, Shamte lekarkashte, and ripped out his large intestine. The serpent came out of the toilet and tore out his intestine. It says in Yeshayahu, I shall put a man in your place. Do not read Adam ela Edom, which is Esav, because the Romans are considered the descendants of Esav. So I shall place an Edomite in place of you, that instead of me getting bit by the snake, he got bit by the snake.
Gott hat ihn gestraft.
Here, yeah. Now, from the book of Shmuel, we have another issue of modesty in the bathroom. So, if you remember, David found Shaul in the cave, and he just and Shaul apparently was going to the bathroom, so he took off his outer coat. So he cut off a corner of his outer coat, and then he stood on the mountain and showed it to him. He says, "Look, I didn't kill you. You're trying to kill me," David says to Saul. "I could have killed you when you went into the cave to go to the bathroom, and I didn't."
I thought he was sleeping when he cut his coat.
We'll see in a second. Hashem has delivered you today into my hand, and he said to kill, and I could have killed you, but instead I spared you. So why does it say he said? It should say I said. And what does it say? And you spared? It should say I spared. David told Shaul, Min Torah, you should be killed because you are pursuing me. And the Torah says, he who comes to kill you, arise to kill him. Ella, because the modesty displayed spared you. The fact that you went into the cave to go to the bathroom, because you were modest, I spared you out of respect for you. And this is the pasuk. They came to the sheepcotes by the way, Aladerech, and there was a cave. The Yavel Shaul also has Rago. Shaul came to cover his feet, which means to say to go to the bathroom. There was a fence within a fence and a cave within a cave. And he went all the way into the inner cave to go to the bathroom out of modesty. That he covers himself with his garment like a sukkah. While his garment was trailing, David cut off a piece. And David arose and cut off very secretly, stealthily, he cut off the corner of his garment. However, because Shaul was a king, because David cut off his garment, he was punished. So Rabbi Yossi said, whoever insults garments, in this case, he ruined a perfectly good garment, has no hana, he has no pleasure from them. As it says, King David was very old, well along in days, and they covered him with garments, but it didn't warm him. Garments didn't help. The garments didn't help. Now, Shaul goes on. He goes on to sell him. If God incited you against me, let this be considered an offering. Amr Belazar, Kadosh Baruch Hu said to David, Mesis Krisali, You call me an insider, I will cause you to make an error in something that even the children know. As it's written, Kisisas Rosh B'nai Yisrael of Kudeim, when you count the Jewish people, each person should give atonement for his soul. You don't count Jews. We just learned it this morning in Shulchan Aruch. You don't count Jews by number. You count them by shkolim. Everyone gives a had shekel. And he counted the Jews by number. Miyad v'yamod satan al Yisrael, a adversary stood up against the Jewish people, and a plague struck them. And it says, Hashem v'yosses as David, that the Satan caused David to go count Israel. And when he counted them, he didn't count their shekels. He didn't take shekel. And it says Hashem made a plague strike Israel from the morning till the morning until midday. What does it mean, Eis Moed, the time? Not midday. Shmuel, the Sava, the elder Shmuel, the father of Rabbi Chanina, said in the name of Rabbi Chanina, from the time that the morning Talmud was slaughtered until the blood is sprinkled. Rabbi Yochanan says, Ad Chatzos Mamash, until noon. In those few hours, many, many people died. Hashem said to the angel who killed many people, Kadosh Baruch Hu said to the king, Toli Rav Shebehem, take for me the great one among them, because I can pay many obligations of the Jewish people. And at that time, Avishi ben Sruya died, Yoav's brother, who was considered like the majority of the Sanhedrin. Avishi ben Sruya was considered to be one of the great scholars of the time. And when the Lord beheld, he repented of, what did Hashem see? That he repented of the plague against the Jews. Amar Rav, he saw Yaakov, our father, as it says, Yaakov says, when he saw them. And Shmuel says he saw the ashes of Isaac. We say that because Isaac willingly was willing to be sacrificed at the Akedah, we consider as if his ashes were there. Shenema, Elokim Yereli Yaseh, Hashem will see for me as the sheep. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka says he saw the money of atonement the Jewish people gave when they left Egypt, and take the atonement money. Rabbi Yochanan says he saw the Beit HaMikdash that would be built in the future and had compassion on the Jewish people. As it says, Ba'ar Hashem Yirah, the mountain of God will appear in the story of the binding of Yitzchak. Others argue, what did Hashem see that he ended the plague? What did he look at? What did he consider? One said the money of the Kippurim, one said the Beis HaMikdash. And it seemed the Beis HaMikdash because it says on this day Hashem will be seen on this mountain, and that is a reference to what it says, God saw and ceased the plague.
That's a good place to start.
That's exactly where we're going to stop. And the plague was, many people died, even though it was only from the morning to midday. But then Hashem, as if it were, considered these various good things the Jewish people did. What's fascinating about the Beit HaMikdash things, Beit HaMikdash is not built yet. So God spared the Jewish people because they were going to build the temple. Very interesting idea. Okay, have a good day, everyone. See you all Thursday.
Sei gesund und stark.